What is going on, everybody? It's the Franz, and we're here for our AEW on TBS review for April the 20th, 2022. We are on our way to Double or Nothing. The Owen Hart Cups are coming together as we had a qualifying match in both the men and the women. The huge announcement by Tony Khan. What was that huge announcement? We'll talk about that here in a minute. Dustin Rhodes versus CM Punk. Now, I'm going to be honest, not a big fan of this. Not really caring about this match tonight. Just, it is what it is. We also had, in the main event, Darby Allin versus Andrade El Idolo in a coffin match. And I'm just going to be honest, not that good. And also, Hook makes his main TV debut. He has been just on Rampage every time he's wrestled, but he did have that one match on the pre-show of, what was it, Revolution against QT Marshall. And tonight was his debut on main TV. And how does Danhausen play into all of this? We'll talk about that all. Now we started off with Dustin Rhodes versus CM Punk. This match came together because on Friday on Rampage, we went to a backstage pre-recorded segment in which Dustin Rhodes challenged one CM Punk to a match for this Wednesday night. Now again, he called it, Dustin said it was a dream match of his, a match that he never got to have in WWE against CM Punk. Obviously not, because WWE didn't see any value in Dustin Rhodes at that time. But it's just, I don't care. This is like, I've been like one of those guys who it's like, yeah, CM Punk's back, that's great, good for everyone who's happy. I really don't care to see matches like this. Yeah, Dustin Rhodes has been on this last ride for a very, very long time. And he's been doing this he's been on this last ride for almost 3 full years. And we start this match off, they both shake hands, CM Punk doing a little bit of the code of honor, as you can see. They lock up, Dustin then gets better of the situation and starts things off with a shoulder tackle and a hip toss. CM Punk gets back to things himself, but he doesn't take long for the veteran to slow things down with a few more hip tosses. Punk manages to dump Dustin out to the ring by diving through the leg of his opponent, which leads to Rhodes spilling on the outside. And we get a little bit of pause in the action because the referee goes to check on Dustin, who is favoring the knee, and they give it it feels like a good 2 or 3 minutes where they just, Dustin's out there, he's getting a big pop from Schittsburg. Yes, I called him Schittsburg because they are Schittsburg. And he's just, CM Punk after a while, they show the replay of everything, and CM Punk's just like, you know what, enough of this. I'm going to go out there, I'm going to grip my target, I'm going to go start targeting the leg, which CM Punk starts to do. So, Body Slam doesn't work and Punk drops back to him. CM Punk then mocks the Goldust pose, which leads to a few more punches by Dustin. He looks for a roll-up, which is funny because now it's funny about the Goldust pose because Kevin Owens did the same thing to Cody on Monday. Punk kicks out after a roll-up, gets hit by a lariat. Punk then once again focuses on the leg, dropping down with the elbow in the area. Towards the end of the match, Punk then connects with a kick to the face, following with a chop block. He locks in the figure 4, crowd with the big "woo" chant. Keep up the pressure, then they start exchanging slaps. Dustin turns it over, but Punk gets to the ropes. Rhodes then hits a crossroads, which they actually, if I'm correct, I heard this right. Tony Schiavone's like, I thought he turned into Cody for a second. So, they're not going to be like, WWE, we're going to pretend like Cody doesn't exist. That's just not AEW's way of doing things. But you have him at the crossroads. He hits a pile driver. Punk kicks out. Dustin then looks for the flip-flop fly, but Punk then stops him with a roundhouse kick. Unable to deliver the GTS though, as Dustin counters, but as Punk lands on the Rhodes, he hooks the leg, catches him into the most devastating finish in all of professional wrestling, the almighty dreaded roll-up. And Dustin Rhodes loses to CM Punk, which is obviously how the match was going to end. You knew CM Punk was going to win. You didn't know how he was going to win, but you knew he was going to win. So after the match, they hug. Dustin raises his hand. He leaves the ring, giving the ring to CM Punk. CM Punk celebrates for a bit, heads back up the ramp, and here comes the AEW World Champion, Adam Hangman Page. They stare each other down. Punk then heads to the back, and that was that. So clearly, it will be CM Punk versus Adam Hangman Page at the Double or Nothing pay-per-view. Will we have a new AEW World Champion? I could absolutely see it depends on, like, I could absolutely see a new champion coming out of Double or Nothing. Because let's be honest, Hangman Page's title reign peaked the night he won the championship. The night he won the championship and he took it from Kenny Omega, that was the night his championship title reign peaked. They had him go out there with Bryan Danielson in a pretty much a time limit draw, which was a big mistake. It hurt the It hurt the title reign overall, in my opinion. It did not help. It was supposed to help. It was supposed to help elevate Hangman Adam Page, and it didn't. It was more of a detriment to Hangman Adam Page than what I think AEW actually thought was going to be. So, yeah. It is definitely going to be Hangman Page, CM Punk, and we could honestly see a new world champion only if this leads to MJF being the man who would to defeat CM Punk and get that final win between these two. That's the only way I see this happening, is that CM Punk wins the championship. Good old babyface versus babyface, hard fought battle. And then he holds it till we get to All Out or Full Gear. And then MJF, of course, by hook or by crook, wins the championship. And then the next Wednesday, gives you the best moment in all of All Elite Wrestling, when the fans are just throwing trash, booing this man, wanting him, like, telling him to shut the fuck up, and everything in between. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens with CM with all of this. We see footage shown of Wardlow getting into the building. Mark Sterling and security will take him to, it says, Mark Sterling's there, there's a bunch of security there. It's like, the security is going to take you to your closet, your locker. And then after the match, they'll escort you out of the building, and you have to wear these, and he has to wear handcuffs. He also says MJF has a message for you, and that is to eat shit, pig. And that was that. So, mind games and the torture of MJF to Wardlow is just going to start picking up. And then we had a match I didn't expect to see another match for the BCC right away, the Blackpool Combat Club, but here we are as they take on Brock Anderson, Dante Martin, and Lee Moriarty. I'm surprised he didn't just go with Top Flight and Brock Anderson. I don't know why he needed to throw Lee in there, but it is what it is. So, this one was basically academic. You got a couple high spot moves for Dante Martin, but the Blackpool Combat Club just went in there and they absolutely demolished these guys and pick up the win in, I think this match maybe went 10 minutes. Not much else you can say about that. Moxley gets, so the cool spot on the match was Moxley's trying to get, I believe it was Dante into the Bulldog choke. Yuta starts hitting the elbows into, I believe it was Lee or Brock, and then Danielson is kicking the head in on the other one. All three guys are just destroying their opponents. Big Death Rider, 1, 2, 3, and that was that. So the Blackpool Combat Club is your winner, obviously. They are probably going to be recruiting somebody else very, very soon. And who is that going to be? It could be anybody from Lee Moriarty. It could be anybody from, maybe they get Ricky Starks to defect from Team Taz. So many questions, not enough answers on what's next for the Blackpool Combat Club. The obvious one is that they are eventually going to be taking it up with the when the Jericho Appreciation Society is through with Moxley, with Eddie Kingston in them. They're going to be moving on to eventually the Blackpool Combat Club. We go backstage to Brandon Cutler and the Cutler Cam, and Kyle O'Reilly asks where the feisty Young Bucks is. He points out that all of them have been losing and they shouldn't live up to their name, the Undisputed Elite. They actually called themselves the Undisputed Elite. He says tonight he will qualify for the Owen Hart Cup, and Cole says there's a team, they can't be stopped. He tells the Bucks their friends are gone, but he's still here. We're all here. Adam thinks next week they'll do an open challenge 10-man tag to remind everyone how dangerous they are. And he says he has to take something quickly, carry something quickly, and walks off. So that match is going to be happening next week against who? Pretty much five guys who are just going to get their asses beat. Tony Schiavone is on the stage. He introduces the owner, the CEO, the general manager, and everything else in between, Tony Khan. Tony Khan comes out and he says he welcomes the president of New Japan Pro Wrestling. And you know where this was going from here. New Japan Pro Wrestling's owner comes out, shakes hands with Tony, but Adam Cole appears on the screen and says, one of the biggest stars to ever wrestle in Japan, only I am big enough to make this announcement. Then on June 26th, in the United Center, Chicago, you are getting New Japan AEW presents The Forbidden Door. The AEW New Japan SuperShow is happening. We all knew it was going to happen eventually. Now, this is, of course, the first SuperShow I believe that New Japan has done since with a company out in the States since what was it? Whatever they did with Ring of Honor, which I can't remember what the hell that thing was called. But yeah. And he also said on Friday night, Rampage, we're going to get a taste of what this Super Show is going to be when he goes into an Owen Hart qualifier against Tomohiro Ishii. So Ishii is going to be facing Adam Cole to go into a qualifier for the Owen Hart Cup. Of course, Adam Cole is most likely going to be winning said match, but it's going to be very interesting to see what happens here with AEW and with this new partnership between them and New Japan Pro Wrestling. I am absolutely excited about this. So many dream matches. Mina Carter versus CM Punk, like Carter versus Bryan Danielson. This could also be the night that we get Kenny Omega finally comes back to All Elite Wrestling. This would be the perfect place to have Jay White's USFJ challenge, which he's been doing on Strong, and we get Jay White versus Kenny Omega. I don't know. I also point this out that on Saturday, I believe it was, there was New Japan held their Windy City Riots. And Riots, whatever it's called. And Jon Moxley reintroduced his young boy from New Japan Pro Wrestling, Shota Umino, aka Shooter. And I thought that it was like, this would be awesome if you had the Death Riders, I guess they're called, the Death Riders, Shota, and Moxley versus any tag team you would want to put them up against. I think that would be freaking awesome. So, yeah, I can't wait to see what happens. So let the dream match speculation begin. Well, will there be title matches? Will there be Okada's gonna be main eventing more than likely? But this is in June 26th. We have Double or Nothing next month, and then a month later, we got ourselves a Super Show. I'm excited. This show should blow anything that SummerSlam or Money in the Bank or anything WWE does for the next year out of the water. Plain and simple. I cannot wait. So, Tomohiro Ishii versus Adam Cole on Friday. Oh, and I forgot. He also said... he also says he has a special friend that wants to say hello. Out comes the Switchblade, Jay White. Thanks, Cole, for the introduction. It says the last time New Japan had such a big joint event, he single-handedly sold out Madison Square Garden. And White says this is not about AEW or New Japan. It's about the Undisputed Elite and the Bullet Club because it is still their era. And that was that. Good stuff there. What is not good is the Jade Cargill stuff. So I guess Jade turned Red Velvet and Kira Hogan heel. I guess they're both heels. They're part of the baddies. She's the problem solver. We'll see that on Friday night. It's like, ugh. Thankfully, the Bumina Shafir match is not happening on live. Whatever the hell whoever booked that match again with her and what was it, Sky Blue last week, they probably shouldn't be allowed to produce matches again because that match was fucking awful. Well, we'll know the results and if we have a new TBS champion, but with the way things ended up later on in the women's qualifier and after the fact, I'm going to say that we already know who's going to be the next TBS Women's Champion, and it's unless they actually pull the trigger tonight, which I highly doubt it. We'll talk about that here in a bit. The Butcher versus Wardlow. Wardlow comes out to the ring with security. They actually had to, he was still in cuffs. They had him in cuffs all the way till he gets to the ring. MJF appears in the box. He tells people Wardlow is a nobody. He throws popcorn all over the fans. He says Wardlow will come out to no music. And he does. So he gets his, I think he get his video package, his green lighting, but no music because it's all via MJF's discretion. How much more is going to happen between this until we get to Wardlow versus MJF? Wardlow fights back and it was Butcher got an early start. Wardlow came back into it. Butcher looks up at MJF like, what the fuck did you get me into? Powerbomb, 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 powerbomb. 1, 2, 3. That was that. As soon as the match was over, he goes back to the guards, and Wardlow's got this big smile on his face, knowing I'm one step closer to kicking this guy's ass and getting my release. Walks out with the handcuffs. Eddie Kingston is talking with Daniel Garcia. He says they'll fight at Rampage, and nobody else is allowed. JAS is not allowed. LAX is not allowed. Everybody's not allowed in the building, so it's going to be a one-on-one match. And he is going to do everything that he does to Garcia on Friday is meant for Jericho. He's going to make sure that Jericho has to watch what he does to his boy on Friday night. So it should be a good match. I mean, Daniel Garcia is a hell of a talent. I can't wait to see what they do. I just want this to be over. I really do. I don't know what anyone else wants to see. Jericho Appreciation Society versus LAX, and it's just they've been doing it for weeks and months, and it's just like you've been doing this stuff for so fucking long. I don't want to see it anymore. It's just you had 2.0 and Daniel Garcia before they teamed up with Jericho, attacking Jericho and his buddies, and of course Eddie Kingston and them too. And it's like I just don't want to see it anymore. Let's move on. Do something else, please. Kyle O'Reilly versus Jungle Boy Owen Hart qualifier match. This was the best match on the show. And this was the first match in either qualifier that was like, this could go either way. This could go Jungle Boy. This could go Kyle. Obviously, if you wanted to have it come down to Adam Cole beats Ishii on Friday, most likely, and Kyle O'Reilly wins this match, you could have it where they're on the opposite sides of the bracket. They go through the competition, and it comes down to Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole, which those guys have had classics in Ring of Honor, and the few that they had that ended on a whimper in NXT. They start out technically between each other. Kyle O'Reilly trying to keep him grounded, but he does that by dragging Jungle Boy to the mat after he looks for a springboard. They speed of Jungle Boy works though, hitting a dropkick. O'Reilly follows with a huge knee to the face and drops his opponent first. Kyle then continues his ground and pound with the elbow strikes and a sharp kick to the back. The tag champ begins to fight back with some elbows and he drops Kyle several times, but he then sidesteps him and catches him with his own. However, Jungle Boy then dumps him out of the ring and hits a tope suicida. I hate that. We need to bring back the topes, please. Can we stop? O'Reilly comes back towards the end of the match with some strikes, but Jungle Boy then rolls into the punting spot. Kyle kicks out immediately, gets into an ankle lock, but reverses into a submission of his own. The snare trap. But Kyle grabs the ropes and both men take a moment. Once again, Jungle Boy looks for the top turnbuckle, but Kyle kicks his leg away and hits a superplex. He dropped Jungle Boy with the brainbuster and then heads to the top rope to dive down with a knee to the ribs. 1, 2, 3. Kyle O'Reilly beats Jungle Boy in the Owen Hart qualifier. And I know a lot of people were thinking that this is definitely a surprise. But you also got to think that I don't expect any champion in the men's for sure outside of Ring of Honor champions. I mean, like AEW champions. I don't expect any of them to be in this tournament. Yeah, it makes no sense. All you champions, it's like, because the finals are going to be on at Double or Nothing for both the men and the women. So you can't just have a champion in the tournament and have a possibility to make the finals when they're going to be defending the title at Double or Nothing. So this is good. Kyle O'Reilly picks up the win. It is going to be interesting to see who he faces in the first round. I would not do what what they're doing with the women and have Tony Storm versus Jamie Hayter because the fans want it. We're going to put it in the first round. That was a stupid, stupid, stupid idea. To make people want that stuff. But it is what they did, and we'll see what happens going forward. Backstage, MJF says there's a lot more money where that came from. He says he is a snake, and it doesn't matter how big the prey is. All it takes is one bite. He gives them some money to Jake Roberts. The legend says some people want belt and women. He chases money when the time is right. He will get it done. However, Lance slaps the money away. He says he doesn't want no money. He just wants to fight Wardlow. And anybody who gets in his way, everybody dies. Smacks the camera away, and that is that. So next week, it is going to be Wardlow versus Mr. Mayhem himself. Wardlow versus Lance Archer. Yeah. So, we go to Hook versus Anthony Henry. One half of the Workhorsemen. And this match didn't last very long. Danhausen appears out of nowhere as Hook is laying in the elbow strikes. Tries to do the curse. It's not working. Hook puts in the red rum, wins, and all that. Danhausen gets a microphone, speaks for the first time. He says he doesn't want to be cursed by Danhausen. Then you will fight Danhausen. He puts his finger, he pokes him in the chest. And Hook just looks around like, this motherfucker. Danhausen pulls his finger away. Hook just barges into his shoulder as he walks away. And that was that, as Hook and Danhausen is going to happen. And everybody popped for that. Everybody did. Backstage, Sammy Guevara, I'm sorry, not Sammy. Frankie Kazarian looks to call it Sammy, but Scorpio Sky interrupts and he says 5 years ago they formed SCU. Now he needs one more favor and he wants Frankie to wait just a little bit longer. He promises, once I win the TNT title back, you're going to get the first shot. Kazarian says he's always had his back and always will. They do their handshake thing, and he walks off. So, clearly, the heel turn is official, as Sammy Guevara no longer loved by the fans, and he comes out. He's out in the ring when we come back for commercial break. They're both in the ring, him and Tay. He says it feels right. He's a 3-time champion with the love of his life. He's going to give his fans everything because they deserve it. Those who cheer, I'm going to give you everything and be there to support you and thank you for the support and everything. But to everybody else who turn their backs on us, why? Because my girlfriend's better looking than you? All you can do is, they say it together, be mad. So it's glad to see that AEW is not pulling the Cody Rhodes with this and being like, oh, they're just booing because, whatever. They actually let this guy embrace his heel run. Sammy Guevara was a heel back when AEW first started. He came in, he joined the Inner Circle. So it's good to see that AEW is not stupid like they were with Cody Rhodes, but that's mostly Cody Rhodes' fault because Cody Rhodes did not want to be a heel. He wanted to be a squeaky clean babyface, and the fans said no. Sky then appears. Scorpio Sky, Dan Lambert, and Ethan Page all came out. Sky appears and asks if that's how it's going to be. He's like, you worked so hard to get these fans, screwing all these fans who got him where he is, watching his stupid vlog. He tells them to shut up, and as nobody came to listen to, Page grabbed the mic and said, shut up, Sammy. Nobody came to listen. No ass in these seats that came here to listen to him talk. The only reason they're not in there beating the hell out of him and putting staples in his head is because Dan Lambert said tonight is about business. Lambert said Sammy risked it all to earn the respect of the fans, but he chose to throw it away, acting like a high school douchebag who can't keep his girlfriend's tongue out of his mouth. Of course, Sammy and Tay decide to have a little bit of a makeout there for a second. He says Sammy either gives Sky a rematch or he'll send them two down there to give them a pounding his girlfriend dreams of. Fans popped for this. Sammy says he'll give him a rematch next week if they agree to a mixed tag team match. They say sure. Sammy then claims it'll be a ladder match. It'll be what it is. The latest House of Black vignette airs. Buddy says they have changed the narrative. Malachi says they owed a debt, so next week the son dies. I do not know what this means. We'll see what happens next week. Women's Owen Hart qualifier, the Faker, is here to take on Daniela Kamela. This match was so bad. So fucking bad. And it's not just one person's fault. Daniela Kamela is the former Vanessa Bourne in NXT. She was terrible there. She was terrible here. The Faker's no better either. This match, they are so desperate. They were in her hometown. Yes, she's going to get a hometown pop. It doesn't matter how good you're in the ring. Oh, you're from Pittsburgh. Oh, yay, we're going to cheer for you. Oh, you're from Chicago. Yay, we're going to cheer for you. That's what happens with the hometown pop. But it wasn't big enough, and they knew it wasn't going to be big enough, so they had to bring out Najee Harris and and some other guy from the Pittsburgh Steelers because they knew her pop wasn't going to be big enough, so they had to have two Steeler football players come out to cheer her on and be her cheerleaders to get the big hometown pop they wanted to get for her. That's desperation. Remember, the first time they came to Pittsburgh, they had them bring out the mascot for the team because she wasn't going to get the pop they wanted. They're trying to spin this narrative as if she's a very beloved women's wrestler. No, she's not. And no, she is not good. This match was terrible from both ends. Again, Daniela Kamela should not be somebody who's in a match that isn't more than 2 minutes. She's not that good. Faker was the worst women's champion in this company's history. She's not good either. And what you got was a shitty match. Obviously, you knew. This is my problem with the women's the women's Owen Hart Cup right now. Every match has been predictable. Did you think Ruby Soho was going to lose to... did you think Toni Storm was going to lose to the Bunny? Did you think Ruby Soho was going to lose her qualifying match against whoever the fuck she faced? Did you think Jamie Hayter was going to lose the Sky Blue? No. Every single match has been predictable. That's not a good thing. With the men, obviously you knew Samoa Joe was going to win the first match. But did you think that there's a lot of people who thought that Jungle Boy was going to win tonight. There were people who thought that Kyle O'Reilly was going to win tonight. That's what you need for qualifiers. 2 men or women who want to get into this tournament and kick enough ass to go out there and actually make it seem like, geez, either one of these two could be in the tournament. Every single one of them. All 6 matches, all 6 qualifiers for the women have been predictable all around. Now here's my thing. With the 6 women qualified, the tournament begins on what, the 4th or the 11th? Cannot remember. I don't know if it's the 4th. If it's the 11th, then they have another few weeks. They'll have 3 men qualified by the end of this week. We have, and this is a very interesting one, next week on TV, it's going to be Dax versus Cash, Owen Hart qualifier. So, both members of FTO are in a qualifying match, but against each other. There is another match that's unpredictable. It could go either way. How hard is that to get? That's right, they don't have enough women for that. Hell, Serena Deeb hasn't even had a qualifying match. Now, next week she's going to be facing off against Shida in a what do you call it? A Philadelphia street fight because they happen to be in Philadelphia. So that's what that's going to be. So I don't know what's going to happen on there. All I know is AEW needs to do better with this whole, like, the women's qualifying has just been absolutely fucking atrocious from start to finish, and I just have to say it. Now, the tournament itself should be hopefully good. The Faker needs to lose her opening round match, plain and simple. Do not even give this woman a snowball's chance to win this fucking tournament. This tournament needs to go to somebody who needs it. Faker does not need it. Hell, Toni Storm could use it because she's just trying to establish herself. Ruby Soho could use it. Jamie Hayter could use it. But Faker should not be anywhere close to winning this thing. She needs to lose first round, period. After the match, she gives you the most boring, cringe-worthy fucking promo you could have ever heard. And she claims Toni Storm will want to leave the company after her friend is done with her, aka Jamie Hayter. She doesn't know what's worse, her whooping Red Velvet's ass or being a baddie, because she talked about the baddie section. Obviously, it's clearly they're going to Jade Cargill versus the Faker for the TBS Championship, because the TBS Championship's going nowhere until they have the Faker conquer it all, because they gotta push her as the center of this division, even though this division has been better off without her. She has been gone for weeks, and this delusional moron came onto social media. I don't follow her, but it came up in my feed because somebody I follow did, what do you call it? We mentioned it, and she was upset and crying and whining and complaining because she wasn't in the top 5. I'm sorry. Maybe show up for work once in a while and maybe you would be in the top 5. You stupid motherfucker. It's like you boycotted because of your conspiracy, because you think it's a conspiracy that you're getting your ass, you got your ass kicked in a cage match after months and weeks and weeks and months of cheating to keep your championship. A championship you should have never held because you're not championship material. You are eye candy for your boyfriend material. That's all you should be. So, yeah. And it's just desperation that they had to bring 2 members of the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Schittsburg Steelers, to the show, because their precious ex-champion couldn't get a big enough reaction on her own. Just like I said the last time she was here, they brought out the mascot to the team, which just shows that they want you. That's please give her a huge reaction. Oh, you're not going to give her a big enough reaction. Here's 2 members of the Squealers. Pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. The sooner they get her out of the women's division and the sooner they have her just be Adam Cole's eye candy, the better. Because the women's division does not need her. Plain and simple. We get a video package which promotes a street fight between Kishida and Serena Deeb for next week. And that will be next week, along with Cash versus Dax. A 10-man tag team match between the Varsity Blondes, I believe the Top Flight, and someone else versus the Undisputed Elite. And we'll see what happens there. Darby Allin versus Andrade El Idolo for a coffin match. Now, I was going into this thinking, there's no way Andrade needs to lose this match. Darby needs to lose. It's fine if Darby loses because this is his match. He doesn't have to win it every time. I mean, The Undertaker didn't win every casket match, did he? No, he didn't. But right off the bat, we had not even 5 minutes into the match, the Blade and Mark Quinn come out to help Andrade beat him up. They go into the crowd, and then we see when they're in the way, we see this fan with a Sting mask on holding up a sign. Mark Quinn rips the sign. The fan pulls the mask off, and it's Sting. This is not the first time he's done this in professional wrestling. He did this back in TNA a couple years, like a decade or so ago. He starts beating them up. You have Sting helping Darby. Tell you what, having Sting in sweatpants and a black sweater did not do his look justice at all. He looked terrible. He looked like an old man. And I know he is an old man, but he looked like... That's the most old man he looked in the entire time he's been here in AEW. Not the best look overall, in my opinion. Anyway. So, they're fighting. They're going around. I could give, like... So, they're fighting. They get up. They get back into the ringside area. Of course, Andrade's trying to close the coffin. Darby's fighting away. Apparently, there's tacks on the inside of this, which is like, what the fuck? So, Darby gets carried over. He fights. He charges with a tope suicida, setting both into the coffin. Allen tries to shut the lid, but Jose stops him. He flips him off, kicks him in the gut, takes his jacket off, takes his shirt off, looks to powerbomb him. He gets backdropped into, or thrown into the tacks as Allen slams the lid shut on Andrade to win the match. And the show ends with Darby celebrating with Sting. Like I said, I'm going to be honest, this match was not good. Like, you couldn't even give them room to breathe. And you already had Mark Quinn. It's like, I'm looking at the time when this match is starting, and I'm like, there's only 14 minutes for a coffin match. You couldn't have cut that promo off and not had it happen. You couldn't, hell, you couldn't have the women's qualifier match end in like 2 minutes because everyone knew who was going to win. Same thing with every other women's qualifying match. You knew who was going to fucking win the match. It was not, we haven't had a single match in the entire qualifiers that's like, who's going to win? Gee, I don't know. The well-established person or somebody who's like a jobber or dark VIP. Let me think here. Oh, obviously the established stars are going to win. Jamie Hayter, Hikaru Shida, Toni Storm making her debut. You weren't going to have her lose to the Bunny on her first night. It's like... AEW is hit and miss with their tournaments. They really are. They are really hit and miss. I mean, the women's tag team tournament was a joke. That shouldn't have been a thing. I don't know who the fuck thought that was a good idea. Then you had the women's eliminator tournament that was half Japan, half US, was poorly executed. It absolutely was. Anything to get Ryo Mizunami over here, I guess. I don't know, but it was poorly executed. Because, like, I know, yeah, the Japanese episodes, the Japanese matches had to be put on YouTube or whatever, but it's like all the other tournament matches for the US side happened on Dark or on a special on YouTube, which half the people weren't going to fucking watch. Then you had that sham of a TBS tournament, which was absolutely fucking atrocious. Just the way that went. I mean, the men's tournaments have been relatively fine. I mean, it's just one of those things that the AEW doesn't have the roster of women. I know a lot of people were hoping that maybe AEW would go out of their way to find, like, have some women be brought in to, be in this. I mean, like, yeah, they did bring in Toni Storm. Everyone knew that Toni Storm was probably coming into AEW. But this was just, I don't know, this tournament, like, I'm not feeling this women's tournament at all. And it doesn't really, like, you can have some damn good matches, you can probably have some really good matches going into this tournament, but it's just, like, the qualifying has not really given me anything, and it's like, Toni Storm, Jamie Hayter should not be a first round match. Oh, the fans wanted it, so we gotta give it to him in the first round. Why? No. Don't do that. Give us Toni Storm, Jamie Hayter, they make it to these. They could be in the finals if you wanted to. The finals or the semis, the second round or whatever. Give us something. Give us some heat. But you're going to have them be in the first round. And I tell you what, if you give it, if they had the Faker win this tournament, it's an absolute fucking fail. You gave her a 10-month title reign, a 10-month shitty title reign, which Thunder Rose's title reign isn't getting off to any better start, even though she is a better professional wrestler. Just AEW doesn't know how to book their women's division. The only place that seems to know how to book their fucking women's division is Impact Wrestling. Nobody else knows how to book their women's division right. AEW's one on that same level. They should be up there. It's been 3 fucking years, And this women's division doesn't feel like it's getting any fucking better. Yeah, you brought in Toni Storm. Yes, Jamie Hayter's great. Yes, Shida's great. Yes, Thunder Rose is awesome. But it's just like they don't have they don't have the right people in charge of the women's division to make it go from mid-card to main event worthy. I don't know. CM Punk versus Hangman Adam Page, that's coming up at Double or Nothing. The New Japan versus the New Japan cross AEW. It's not versus, which that would be very interesting. The one big thing about Super Shows that has taken Super Shows down a peg before back in the 80s, 90s, whatever, is ego for each side. I know that New Japan and Ring of Honor have had really good Super Shows, the best in the world or whatever it's called. But I don't think there's a reason for it. That's why WWE never wanted to do Super Shows with anybody or work with anybody else, because they don't want their champions to lose. They don't want their people to look weak. The other side doesn't want their people to look weak. That's not what you need to have here. You need to have CM Punk versus Okada. Who the fuck cares who wins that match? Just give it to us if that's what you want to go with. Danielson versus Okada. Who the fuck cares who wins that match? Just give it to us. Moxley versus I would like Moxley and Shota Umino versus FTR or the Guerrillas of Destiny. There you go. That would be a hell of a match right there. Give us something. I wish they would have had one match announced. One, even Jay White, who was there, could have said, and I'm gonna make the first match. I am going to issue a US of J challenge at that card for anybody on the AEW roster for that night. Not going to be, and they could have won with that, but they didn't. I wish we would have got something for that show instead of, it's great. The tickets aren't on sale yet. They don't go on sale till I think the 6th on the 6th at 10 o'clock Central Time. I'm excited to see it. It's going to be great. But we'll see how AEW does building towards that show, how that show is going to be built towards, because it's New Japan, it is AEW. You got to have Okada, you got to have Tanahashi, you got to have everything. Kishida, this could be the night Kishida makes his return to New Japan Pro Wrestling. Yes, he's gone from the WWE, wasted pretty much 3 years of his life, his career in WWE. I don't blame the guy for going out of his way to, go to WWE. But even when Triple H was in charge, they felt like they didn't know what to fucking do with the guy. It's just the facts. They didn't know what to do with Kishida. They didn't know what they had in Kishida. And that's just how the cookie crumbles there. I hope we're going to see Kishida. We could see Kishida versus Bryan Danielson. I'm sure that's a dream match for Kishida if Kishida hasn't had that match. I don't know. So many possibilities. We have so much time to sit there and wait. Hopefully, very soon, we won't have to wait. I think, if I would do things a little bit different here, I would have been you know what? These are the matches you're going to see at this show. But they didn't go with that. They just gave us, this is what's going to happen. And I'm very excited. So many things to look forward to in AEW. I'm just sitting here waiting for something big. We'll see what happens coming down the line. Next week, we got, Cash versus Dax will probably be one of the best matches on next week's show. Ain't nothing else to it. That is your AEW on TBS review. Hit that subscribe button, comment down below, or dislike this video. Find me on Minds at the France Club. Find me on twitch.tv/the France Club. And find me on Instagram at the France Club. And I will see you guys on Friday for SmackDown and Rampage. Until then, my name is the France, and I'll see you guys later.